Hello and welcome back to another video on high altitude investing. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Cardano, and the first thing we're going to be looking at is the smaller time frames. Then we're going to zoom out and talk a little bit about how much Cardano can grow in the bigger picture. So starting off here on the daily candlesticks, the first thing I want to show you guys today is the bullish divergence that we see on this coin. So we do actually have a slightly lower low right here. You can see price made a low here and a slightly lower low here, while the MACD made a higher low. So that's bullish divergence here on the daily candlesticks with Cardano. And if you switch to the logarithmic chart and you zoom in a little bit here, you can see that that is slightly of a lower low. So that does confirm that that is bullish divergence here on the daily candlesticks for Cardano. The other thing that we see here is a downward pointing channel, and we did break bullish out of that downward pointing channel, which is a really good thing, especially since once you break bullish out of these downward pointing channels, a lot of times all of that downward momentum will be flipped back around in the other direction and start to head up towards resistance levels. We also have an even bigger bullish divergence forming here on the daily candlesticks. If we go from right here down to right here, and from right here up to right here, you can see lower lows in price and a higher low on the MACD. So that's even more bullish divergence forming here with Cardano. So on the daily candlesticks, we definitely are expecting more upside and a strong turnaround here that will lead us up towards local resistance. Which brings us to the 3-day candlesticks, where we do see a higher high, higher low pattern. So we have our first low here, our first high here, our first higher low here, our first higher high here, and now we have a higher low potentially forming currently on Cardano. So that could lead to a breakout above this local high right here, which would be the beginning of an uptrend. We've already started to see a little bit of an uptrend here, but if we break through this local high, then we're going to see that uptrend increase in power and strength very quickly. Now, something that I posted on my X account today is a comparison between Cardano today and early day Bitcoin. So a lot of these altcoins look like early day Bitcoin when Bitcoin was not nearly as established as it is now. As you know, Bitcoin is more of a household name than it was back in like 2011. But Cardano is not a household name here in 2025. And you can see the same pattern over here on Cardano. Currently looks a lot like Bitcoin back in 2011 and 2012 as well. So a very parabolic move could be coming for Cardano here in the bigger picture based on this market cycle analysis. It does look a lot like early day Bitcoin. So if you feel like you missed out on investing in Bitcoin, Cardano, and a lot of these altcoins do provide us with an excellent opportunity to make a lot of money in the crypto markets. And that doesn't mean that Bitcoin won't skyrocket, because Bitcoin is kind of the mothership of this whole ordeal. But if you feel like you missed the boat on buying Bitcoin dirt cheap, Cardano is definitely one option as far as altcoins go that provides you a very similar opportunity as investing in early day Bitcoin. So I do believe we will get a very parabolic, very vertical move as we continue to make higher highs and higher lows on those smaller time frames that we were just talking about. And that will lead to a new all-time high and a very, very, very vertical move. As you can see, what I have drawn here with this very parabolic move here over here on the left. The other thing that I find very fascinating here with Cardano is looking at Cardano on the logarithmic scale, as well as Amazon.com during the internet bubble on the log scale as well. So here's the internet bubble for Amazon, and here is that crypto bubble that we saw in 2021. And you can see a very, very similar structure here. So as this industry continues to develop and as it's mass adopted, I would not at all be surprised to see a very long, sustained uptrend, very similar to what we saw to Amazon.com after the internet bubble popped and recovered. You can see we saw a continuous uptrend that we're actually still in to this day as a result of this technology called the internet being mass adopted by the public. Now, for crypto, I see a very similar thing coming. Crypto will be mass adopted by the public. We're going to see a longer, more sustained uptrend as a result of that. And I believe that Cardano is very similar to like investing in Amazon right after the internet bubble popped, before the real growth and the real expansion really happened. As far as Cardano fundamentals goes, Cardano has a very, very strong development team. They have a very good team behind what they are building and what they're doing. They also have good scalability, so this project can scale very efficiently, very energy efficiently. It's not going to have a huge cost to the environment. For example, like Bitcoin has a pretty high cost for mining, so it's not very efficient for transactions. And it's also in the top 17 in trading volume. So out of all of the thousands of cryptocurrencies out there, Cardano is in the top 17 in trading volume over the past 30 days, which tells you there's a lot of institutional money and a lot of big players buying this coin. In fact, we've had over $21 billion in trading volume just over the past 30 days for Cardano. And even just from a market cycle perspective, Cardano has a perfect market cycle as well. You can see we have wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, followed by our ABC correction, A, B, and C, and now we're starting to recover after that market cycle is now completing, and we're starting to see the early signs of a new cycle for this coin. The other thing that I'm seeing for Cardano is an ascending broadening wedge. So as you can see over here on Google, we have an example of an ascending broadening wedge, and basically the way this pattern works is you have an ascending resistance level as well as an ascending support level that creates this broadening wedge structure, and then you break bullish out of that and it leads to a very large increase in value. So that's another bullish pattern that I'm seeing here with Cardano that could lead to a lot more upside in the near future. In fact, Litecoin did the same pattern in 2017, right before price went vertical all the way to the moon and hit $418. So that was a huge increase in value. And we're seeing that same ascending broadening wedge here on ADA. We're basically like right here in terms of where we're at in the pattern. So overall, I expect very big things coming for this coin. And I believe Cardano will be one of those coins that is mass adopted by the public and sees continuous growth. Very similar to what happened to Amazon or Apple, as those technologies and companies were mass adopted by the public and became household names. There's a lot of potential in this coin. It's only worth 58 cents right now. So you can see that over the longer term, we do have a lot of potential to make a lot of money and a lot of profit investing in this coin. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. I love and appreciate every single one of you. If you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor and share it with your friends. If you want to learn more about this stuff, apply for one-on-one coaching, link in the description box below, and I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos. And as always, stay profitable out there.